Hello and welcome back to the channel once again. My name is Andy and today we are back for the race review of the Spanish Grand Prix that was held at the weekend and the race that was held just yesterday on Sunday. First race of the European rounds for this season's championship, and a race that has historically seen a lot of teams bring upgrades to the event. So we'll come on to some of those in just a moment and go through the weekend itself. But as always, I do like to start off by thanking you very much for watching. If you are enjoying this, please do hit the like button. Comment below what you enjoyed from the race as well, and if you haven't done so already, do also hit the subscribe button and remember to hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any videos that I publish, whether they be race reviews, whether that be from my classic series of videos, commentary videos that I do, or anything else that I post to the channel. But as I say, it was the Spanish Grand Prix there at the weekend, and obviously, as I did mention, a lot of teams do bring upgrades to this. Obviously, all the teams are based in Europe, most of them in the UK as well. And two most noticeable changes, to the cars were McLaren, who had brought along a lot of new developments to the car, but most notably to the front wing. It looked like it had three nostrils on it rather than anything else, so it just looked like a three-nosed pig in some instances. And also the Ferrari had decided to mount the wing mirrors onto the halo itself, which was a very interesting change. They had also made some changes to the rear of the car. Mercedes had brought upgrades to the rear brakes and other parts as well. So there was many a change throughout the pit lane to the car. So it was going to be interesting to see how that would develop over the weekend, who would gain from that, if anything at all. And out of the box in practice, it was a mix between the three teams, the top three teams between Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes, as usual, mainly Mercedes and Ferrari at the top there. And then when we moved into P3, we started to see a wee bit more of that Mercedes pace, even more and more coming through. The big point from practice was that quite a few spins and offs. It was a very slippy track. It got resurfaced before testing in the winter. And there was a lot of wind, especially on Friday, which meant that a lot of drivers got caught out with the windy conditions. And there was quite a few offs, and then the big one happened during practice 3, where Brendan Hartley in the Toro Rosso went off. It was his own fault. He even admitted it on the radio. He came up to the fast turn 9 just before the second DRS zone and got the wheels onto the grass on the outside, and round it went into the barrier. You'll see the picture on the screen at this point of the car getting towed away, but you might have seen the video as well that as they were towing it away, the back of the car actually then broke off in the air, and Hartley did not take part in qualifying because of that and started from the back of the grid. Moving into qualifying itself, and it was to be the first Mercedes 1-2 of the season, as Hamilton and Bottas were separated by just 4/100ths of a second through the lap. Hamilton setting a new outright lap record of 1 minute 16. I can't quite remember the exact times, I forgot to note it down like an idiot. But Bottas was right with him through the whole lap. The Ferraris then took up the second row, Vettel ahead of Raikkonen, Vettel about just over a tenth behind, and then the third row, continuing the Noah's Ark theme over the first 3 rows, was the 2 Red Bulls, Verstappen out qualifying Ricciardo for this race as well. 7th on the grid was, in fact I can't remember, 7th on the grid was Magnussen, nearly forgot, very good result there for him. Alonso took 8th on the grid as well, and it was Sainz and Grosjean who rounded out the top 10. The big drop from qualifying 1, the big casualty from Q1, was Nico Hülkenberg. First time he's not made it through Q1 since I think it was 2012 Spanish Grand Prix, I think is what they said on the commentary. He went round to start his fast lap with 7 minutes in the session to go, and you could hear the car having issues. And it was found it was a fuel, what they called a fuel pickup problem. There was something within the fuel that was not right. So that caused problems. He then got out before the end to set a lap, but it wasn't quick enough once everyone had completed their own laps. and he dropped out in Q1, and this would come back to haunt him, as we're going to find out in just a moment. On to the race itself, and at the start it was a good start from everybody. Initially Vettel got the better of Bottas, very clever from the four-time champion. He pulled into the slipstream of the Finn and then pulled out to take up the racing line again for turn 1, and he picked up a second slipstream off a Hamilton, and he was able to go round the outside of turn 1, inside for turn 2, and he took over second place from the Finn at the start. But then behind them was where everything started to get a bit hairy and everything went wrong. So a few cars ran wide at turn 1. One was Van Dorn, the other one was Ericsson. Van Dorn re-entered the track at the wrong point. They were supposed to go round the bollard, so he got a 5-second penalty for that. But on the other side of the track, Sainz and Alonso, the two Spaniards, got a bit out of shape onto the gravel running wide. A few other cars done the same as well. There was a lot of struggling for grip on the first lap. And another one was Nico Hülkenberg, got a bit wide out of turn 2, lost a couple of places, including one to the Williams of Lance Stroll. This is where his qualifying falls back, because just ahead were the two Haas cars, sitting 7th and 8th. Grosjean was behind Magnussen. Magnussen seemed to get a little slide, not too much. Grosjean then had the same problem, possibly correcting to his teammates' movement. The rear end of that number 8 car went round, and then the Frenchman planted the throttle. The car spun its rear wheels up, smoke everywhere. It spun back across the track in front of the entire field. How there's only 2 cars that hit him, I don't know. But one of those cars was Hülkenberg, and if he had not made that mistake in turn 2, he would have just missed it, because Stroll got past. And then Pierre Gasly in the Toro Rosso came behind as well, nowhere to go, and hit the Haas car as well. And all 3 cars were out with severe damage before they had even got round the first sector. Grosjean has subsequently picked up a 3-place grid penalty for Monaco in 2 weeks' time, so that's going to make his Monaco Grand Prix even harder than it would already be. So that's not going to help him. And there was a picture which I'll hopefully have up on the screen if I can find it, where he was sitting on the steps at the side of the track, almost as if he was on the naughty step in such a sense. Because one thing a lot of people have been saying since is that if you're going to spin and you've got the full field around you, try if possible to avoid coming back across the track by lighting the rear tyres up. Although I'm sure he was trying to avoid that, all he ended up doing was doing exactly that. So yeah, not a good start. That did bring out the safety car. It was out for a good number of laps till around about lap 7 when they restarted, and it was Hamilton leading Vettel and Bottas, Raikkonen in 4th, and the 2 Red Bulls in 5th and 6th, with Magnussen in 7th. Now, this is where the race starts to kind of settle down quite a lot. There wasn't a huge amount of this race, I think. I mean, after Baku, we couldn't really expect it to be a massive race again like that was, action-packed everywhere. Spain's normally seen as being one of the harder tracks to pass on, as it is anyway. The interesting part was the Ferraris were chewing their tyres up. Vettel was the first to pit on lap 17. He was the first of the front runners to come in and change from the yellow soft tyres to the white marked mediums, and he was then followed up by Bottas on lap 20. And it looked like Bottas had done enough to jump ahead of the Ferrari to take back the net second place in the race, but he got held up 3.9 seconds on the stop, and Vettel just passed him as he was coming down the pit exit at the same time as he went by Kevin Magnussen into turn 1 as well. So he held on to that place despite the fact that Mercedes was quicker in the fresh air for a couple of laps. Hamilton didn't pit until lap 26, and at the same time was when Kimi Raikkonen, who had now taken over second place at this point, albeit without pitting, came up and he had some problems. He slowed down. He had the 2 Red Bulls behind him, and he ended up having what they're saying is some sort of issue with the power unit, and he slowed right down, trundled round to the pits. They couldn't resolve it, and he retired. Now, what makes that a worry for Ferrari and Raikkonen is he changed his engine on Friday. So that was a new engine in the car. And it's unsure of whether it will still be usable, if, what the issue is, has it caused terminal damage. But if that's a power unit issue, then that's obviously a worry for the rest of the season. As I've mentioned before, 3 engines per driver for this year, so that's not going to help him. But that put him out of the race. Red Bull stayed out for a bit longer. They took over the lead when Hamilton pitted, and then stayed out, and they rejoined behind the top 3, so in 4th and 5th. And then I think it was lap 41, just before 41, sorry, Esteban Ocon, and the Force India pitted, lost a lot of time due to a wheel nut issue. Bound to a 20 plus second stop with a rear wheel sticking. And then on lap 41, smoke out the back. It was claimed to have been an oil leak, so again, unsure if the engine is beyond repair or manageable. But it will be interesting to see, and obviously he'll be hoping that the engine is recoverable to keep with his allotted 3 for the year. But where he parked brought out the virtual safety car. Now, under the virtual safety car, Vettel pitted again, which it's a cheap pit stop. But he was over 5 seconds stationary. People thought at first it was because he had to wait on Perez. Didn't seem to be the case watching the replay. It looked like one of the rear tyres stuck. And he rejoined behind Verstappen, who stayed out. He was ahead of Ricciardo. So not only did he lost second place to Bottas, who was going to try and chase down on fresh tyres, but he was now behind the Red Bull. And as it would prove, didn't prove to work for him. And put on a new set of mediums rather than any of the softs. It was his only new set of tyres left. And despite the fact that Verstappen hit the back of Lance Stroll as the safety car period ended and knocked out the end plate on the left side of his front wing, he was still able to stay ahead and keep good pace to keep that Ferrari behind him until the end. So Vettel losing out on more points, but again, he was saying that they needed to pit. They were chewing through the tyres really quickly, and that if he had stayed out, he feels he would have lost the place to Bottas anyway, and possibly Verstappen could have caught up too. So, very interesting race for Ferrari. They're usually one of the teams kinder to their tyres, so it is definitely an interesting thing to see. And it'll be interesting to see how they cope come Paul Ricard and Silverstone, where these tyres will be used again as well later on in the year. But it was nothing but easy in a sense for Lewis Hamilton. Pole position, led most of the race as well. The only thing he didn't do was get the fastest lap. He took the win by 20 seconds from his teammate. He's just... I'm not a Hamilton fanboy, but he's just class of the field. Didn't have to do much today. Really felt comfortable with the car, and he won the race almost at a canter out front there at the front. Bottas was second. Verstappen, as I say, was third. Vettel was fourth. It was a good drive for Max, considering all the issues of China and Baku, to take up the podium, and also with the damage as well. Vettel fourth, obviously just discussed him. Ricciardo took home fifth and the fastest lap, but he did spin the car under the virtual safety car. It cost him 10 seconds to his teammate. So Red Bull pace was there, just not consistent enough from either of them. And it was a good sixth place from Kevin Magnussen, who probably had the most loneliest race he's ever had. He was about 20 seconds behind Ricciardo, and he was a good 20 seconds or so ahead of 7th place, which was Carlos Sainz, who had a good battle with his fellow Spaniard Alonso, who took home 8th. Perez recovered from quite a poor weekend for Force India to take home 9th, and Charles Leclerc in the Sauber took home the final points paying position with 10th place. Another good result for the Monaco driver as well. Bit of an unsung hero in a sense was Lance Stroll. It was a good drive from him to take 11th from that Williams. It had been a horrible handling car all weekend. Robert Kubica was back in the car in practice 1, and the car was spinning everywhere. It looked horrible to to drive, and Stroll still managed to get 11th, so good result for him, for the Canadian. Brendan Hartley was 12th, not a bad drive from him after that big accident in the FP3 and starting at the back. He was also still suffering from some pain. Ted Kravitz from Sky Sports had recognised he had the sort of recovery tape taped to his neck and down his shoulder and his back. So he obviously took a good whack from that hit into the tyre wall. 12th was Marcus Ericsson in the second Sauber, and 13th in the last, about 3 laps down, was Sergei Sirotkin in the second Williams. He'd been complaining about issues with being comfortable in the car through the race. You'll have noticed out of the people I've mentioned so far, there was one other retiree that I've not mentioned, and that was the second McLaren of Stoffel van Dorn, who had a gearbox transmission failure around about lap 46, I think it was, that put him out of the race as well. So he was one of 6 retirees, the others being Ocon with the oil leak, Raikkonen with a power unit failure, and Grosjean, Hulkenberg and Gasly during the first lap crash. For me, obviously, got to give driver of the race, I think, to Hamilton. It was just sublime up front. Okay, didn't really have to do much, but he was in supreme control of the car, done very, very good. But Bottas was really good as well. Verstappen had a good drive, especially with the damage. Leclerc as well, doing really good once again for the Sauber. Good battle with Alonso as well, where he held off the 2-time champion for a while, despite having some tyre issues with his left front. Although didn't see much of him, Magnussen drove a good race as well for 6, very controlled. So, not many poor races down the card, apart from Sirotkin, but again, he was having issues with comfort in the car. So, not much to the race this week, but it's always fun to say that the Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona doesn't have too much going. But the leaving at the championship then, Hamilton is now on 95 points, Vettel on 78, so Hamilton pulls out more of a lead. He's 17 clear now as they head to Monaco. Bottas is 20 behind Vettel on 58, Raikkonen 10 more back on 48, and then Ricciardo on 47 and Verstappen on 33 fill out the top 6. In the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes now on 153 points from Ferrari on 126. Red Bull are on 80, and Renault have overtaken McLaren for 4th by just 1 point on 41, McLaren on 40, and Haas are into 6 as well, with those points from K-Mag. Interesting couple of stats though. Hamilton, Vettel and Alonso are the only 3 drivers to have scored in all 5 races so far, while Sergei Sirotkin and Romain Grosjean are still to score a single point this year. Sirotkin obviously lumbered with the poor handling Williams, Grosjean having a poor start to the season, Cutley issues, and he just seems to be trying to find grip and confidence now. It's just, going on race after race, so it's not been a great start for the Frenchman at all. He'll be hoping to make that change next time out in 2 weeks' time, and that of course is what is seen by many as the crown jewel in F1, which is the Monaco Grand Prix in Monte Carlo, weekend of May the 24th through to the 27th, the race on the 27th. It's a big weekend for race fans as well, because it is the Indy 500 on the Sunday as well, on the 27th. No Alonso taking part this year, as he did last year, so he will be present in the McLaren this year, rather than being substituted for by Jenson Button. But it does make for an interesting weekend, and I'm going to be putting up a wee video next week or just before the race at Indy, just for a wee bit of fun. You might have seen my Nürburgring video, which you can see in the top corner at the moment on the card. Done a wee race on Project Cars 2 round the Nürburgring, as it was the Nürburgring 24 hours at the weekend just passed as well. So I'm going to do one for Indy either this weekend coming or the weekend of the race itself. So do have a wee look out for that, wee bit of history behind the actual race itself, and having a wee bit of fun on the Project Cars game as well. But that does bring us to the end of this video and this race review. Again, as always, thank you for watching, and do subscribe and hit the bell icon if you haven't done so. You can also follow me on Twitter as well. I do post up updates from time to time on things there, and it does obviously notify you of when my videos are posted too. And again, do hit the like button and comment below. What did you like from the race? Do you agree with what I've said? Do you disagree with anything? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. But that is the end for now. On the screen at the moment, to the right hand side of the screen as you look at it, you will see the list of other race reviews and season review stuff that I've done, so you'll see the playlist for that. And on the other side of the screen now, you'll also see a video which has been recommended to you or from my videos by YouTube itself. And of course, in the middle, you can also hit subscribe if you haven't already done so. But for now, my name is Andy, and until the next video, I'll see you again soon. Ta-ra.